I was hoping tonight we were going to be able to come out here and say, oh my gosh, massive game. Oh, we had a couple blow-up spots. Oh, Jamar Chase just dropped 30 points. And instead of looking at running back usage, which I guess we will look at, instead of looking at a blow-up spot from some receiver, I guess we'll look at Odell. But the main storyline here is going to be what we have when it comes to the injuries. Lamar Jackson gets injured for a portion. Looks like Lamar's going to be fine. Joe Burrow gets injured. Don't know if he'll be fine. Mark Andrews gets injured. Don't think he'll be fine either. And Odell Beckham Jr. gets injured after having a blow-up week. So really sad, really frustrating overall, ladies and gentlemen. This is not how I wanted to go through and start this live stream off. The first thing I think we can talk about is maybe what happened in the game. Then we'll dive into the injuries with these guys, right? So if you're looking at the Bengals, I don't even really want to talk about, Joe Mixon, bell cow workload. Joe Mixon, 5 receptions. He has 16 carries, 21 opportunities. He has he has 100 total yards, gets you the touchdown. If you started Mixon, obviously you are excited, but going forward, will that be the case? Going over to the receivers, while Jamar Chase gives you absolutely nothing all game, he does save you at the very end with the receiving touchdown. But can't talk about any of these guys realistically until we actually go through and look at what we are dealing with when it comes to the injuries here. So we'll talk about Burrow a little bit later on. Maybe in Baltimore, this is a little more realistic of what we can be looking at. What's very interesting is Just Hill and not really getting involved. It's Gus Edwards and Keaton Mitchell. It is a 2-man running back by committee where Gus Edwards has the red zone role. I wish I could go back in a time machine, and I wish I could draft Gus Edwards in every Underdog best ball draft that we possibly could. Over the past month, he is sitting here with 7 rushing touchdowns in the past 4 weeks. 7 touchdowns in 4 weeks. He's at the very top of the NFL in rushing touchdowns. We're pretty damn close. And what's funny is if you look at Lamar Jackson still gets there. Lamar Jackson running the ball. Lamar, take these rushing touchdowns for yourself. Be selfish. I need them for my fantasy football team. And I don't need to keep on seeing Gus Edwards score these. Now, in reality, going forward, the thing is, how do I change where we're ranking Gus Edwards? I'm ranking him as a low-end RB2 because he's in a committee. He's in that committee with Keaton Mitchell. He has absolutely no usage as a receiver. He has 8 receiving yards this week. And obviously, you are just banking on the rushing touchdowns. Maybe at some point, we just have to come out here and take an L and say, okay, maybe he's this year's Jamal Williams, Maybe, it's really easy to predict him going out there and having a ton of involvement. Having that usage in the red zone and scoring at will. I don't know. I have a hard time ranking him as an RB1. I'll probably never be able to do it just because I'm not mentally tough enough, ladies and gentlemen. I'll probably have him as an RB2 rest of season. I want to reiterate, non-PPR, Edwards great. Obviously, my issue is in a full PPR format. Going over to the receivers, Odell Beckham Jr. leads the team in targets with 7. Obviously, we need to look at Mark Andrews. No Mark Andrews in this offense. Maybe the receivers are a little bit more viable. But Odell, also, you are dealing with these shoulder injuries. So first, let's talk about the injuries that we have here for the Ravens. And I want to be very honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea what I'm talking about, okay? No idea. I am not a doctor. I wish I was, but I'm not. I'm not smart enough. And the game just ended literally 4 minutes ago. So I'm speculating. I will update y'all tomorrow and the next day as we get updates. But right now, it seems as if Mark Andrews has either a fractured ankle or a high ankle sprain. Seems very serious with the Mark Andrews injury. Looks like this is going to be a multi-week injury. He is a candidate for the IR. And if you think about the weeks that you have left, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. The man's going to be missing until the fantasy football playoffs. At best, you're getting Mark Andrews back for the semifinals or the finals of your playoffs. That is if he goes on the IR, which I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to be the case. I don't think we can really sit here and be positive with Andrews. I don't think I can say, oh yeah, Andrews good to go in 2 weeks. Andrews probably done for the year, at least from a fantasy perspective. Now, going over to Odell, sounds like Odell's going to be fine based off what I saw off Twitter. Probably should pick him up, right? Especially if Mark Andrews is going to miss, just because there'll be more targets to go around. And Lamar Jackson will be fine. Maybe this is something that we have to continue to monitor to make sure he doesn't pop up again on injury. Lamar is going to be fine. Not worried about it. Now, going over to Cincinnati, obviously here are the primary concerns. And that if you're looking at Joe Burrow is a quarterback that has an uncertain timetable, but no real reason to rush himself back. I think that we can say Burrow's probably going to miss a few weeks. I don't know if Burrow's going to go to the... He's probably missing a few weeks, though. Is that a safe assumption? And if that's the case, let's go ahead and let's pull up the standings here, ladies and gentlemen. Because, the entire conversation leading into this game is it's pretty much a must-win game for the Cincinnati Bengals. And yeah, the Bengals now are sitting at 5-5. The Ravens essentially lock up this division 8-3, or pretty damn close to locking it up. The Bengals are 5-5. Say Burrow misses 2 to 4 weeks. Say that's what we were initially told tomorrow or the next day, right? What would be his incentive to come back? Now, I know everybody's saying it looks like it's going to be a sprained wrist. If he's going to be back next week, then we're chilling. From what I saw during the game, it looked more serious. If it is just a strained wrist and he is just out one game, that's great news. My concern is if he misses, say, 2 weeks here, they fall to 5-7. I guess you're Joe Burrow. I guess you can come back still nonetheless. So, yeah, no, the Bengals will still be on the hot seat nonetheless, and Burrow will still be getting rushed back in. I think we probably assume a drop in Burrow. This probably hits Chase. This probably hits Higgins a bit. Obviously, if Burrow's good to go, though, you are playing both players if they are good. But we don't know right now. Looks like the most serious injury from today is going to be the Mark Andrews injury, where Andrews is the guy that we are assuming is going to be missing a prolonged absence. I'm going to assume Lamar's fine. I'm going to assume Odell's fine. And with Burrow, maybe he misses a week or two. Maybe a little bit longer. We will see, ladies and gentlemen. But I think that should be about it for the recap with the game. And we will go through and we will look at your questions. And as I pull this up, let me remind you, if you have not done so already, ladies and gentlemen, please go down there, drop a like on this stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. I have live streamed every single day at this point for 203 days in a row. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% a positive match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for the games this weekend. But Marine coming out with a sad face. I'm sorry, my friend. If you're a Bengals fan, I am sorry for tonight, to be honest. Now, Scarface Patrick says 12-team happy BR, 4-6. We have Lamar, Keenan, Godwin, Bijan, Etienne, Hockenson, Hollywood, and then on the bench, Singletary, Zeke, Dobbs, Fournette. Last week, the trade any Hail Mary moves. In terms of trades, not necessarily. I think that you probably are just looking to make waiver wire moves with this team, as boring as that sounds. We really don't have any value down there on the bench to sell, right? Can I tell you, oh yeah, let's go sell Ezekiel Elliott and Keenan Allen? No. Nobody's going to trade you for any of those guys on the bench. I'm not going to be trading any of our studs on a team that needs to win now. So I think you just continue to make waiver wire moves. Now, Rigor Mortis says 12-team PBR double flex 8-2. We have Goff, Hall, Walker, Ayuk, St. Brown, TJ, Devonta, T, Jason, Dak, Purdy, Gus, Musgrave. Offered Allen, Waddle, Stevenson for Hall, Jason, and Waddle. So going from Hall to Josh Allen, probably give me Josh Allen. Jason to Waddle, give me Waddle. And we have Waddle on both sides. So to know where Waddle should be here, let's go Jason to Stevenson. Give me Stevenson, and a little bit confused when you're putting Waddle on both sides of the deal outside of that. Kobe says F to pay respects for Andrews. Could be out for the season. Everybody spam F's in the chat. Just F's in the chat for Andrews. Start Tank Dell or Debo this week. So Tank Dell, you will have Nico Collins back in. I am operating under the assumption that Tank Dell will be the starting wide receiver in Houston. However, currently I have Dell 38 in our flex rankings, and I have Debo Samuel 36. So under the assumption that Nico Collins is back, I'd probably go Debo Samuel, but they are very close for me. Omar says, hey Mason, I'm 9-1 and clinched a playoff spot. I got offered Etienne and Puka for CMC and Amari. What are your thoughts? Congrats, my friend. And I think, yeah, selling Amari would be great, but you want CMC here. Yeah, it's CMC and not remotely close, even though I drafted a lot of Etienne. Bedger says 4-6, 10-team non-PBR. Burrow, Henderson, White, Wilson, Jefferson, Hogginson, Terry, Hollywood, Addison, Warren, and Deontay. I mean, if you have a Hollywood, Addison, and Deontay Johnson down there on the bench, especially in a non-PBR format, I would love to send one of those depth wide receivers with Darrell Henderson to see if we can go get an upgrade at RB2 in a non-PBR format especially. Joshua says, should we start Amari this week? My other options would be Johnson, Khalil, Chandler. Not sure if Madison plays or if Forbin's RB1 or gets more work than Herbert when he returns. I would go Amari here over, actually, Ty Chandler would be the other guy that we're looking at. I think that Khalil Herbert and Deonta Foreman probably split. What's actually funny is if you look at Amari and Ty Chandler in my flex rankings, I have Amari at 47, Chandler at 48. So we do have them back to back. Keenan Allen will play. So I wouldn't be super excited to go out there and I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be excited to go play Khalil Herbert, right? I'm sorry, Khalil Herbert. I think that they are going to split. And I wouldn't be excited to play Quentin Johnson with Keenan Allen good to go. But Victoria says, we have Burrow. Should we pick up Sam Howell or Brock Purdy? I'm going to go Sam Howell over Purdy from a fantasy perspective, Purdy over Howell from a real life perspective. Wyatt says 12-team PBR traded Flowers and Ridley and got Waddle before the game. Feeling great. What are your thoughts? You're the man, keep up the grind. Love to see it. I will say hesitation in that it does look like Mark Andrews is out for the season. Thomas just texted me, Andrews done for the year. Let me pull this up and see what this is about. So if Andrews done for the year, then yeah. I mean, I guess you bump Flowers. I still clearly prefer Waddle. But yeah, no Mark Andrews, ladies and gentlemen. Let me pull up how much Joe Burrow and Mark Andrews that I have. Honestly, if Odell's back and good to go, I guess Odell is viable now. As if you have no Mark Andrews, it will be easier to find. Okay, 5% Andrews. Oh, no, that's on the wrong exposure sheet. Yeah, it will be easier to get targets with no Andrews in this offense. I actually have 4% Mark Andrews in my drafts. But obviously, it's not like, oh, I knew he was going to get, I had no idea he was going to get injured. But Jay says, traded JT Ridley Chuba for Puka, Warren, Mostert. So Chuba to Mostert, upgrade. Ridley to Warren, up to you. JT to Puka, serious downgrade. Needed the upgraded receiver. Other wide receivers are Godwin, Deontay. I understand the thought process there, but honestly, I would have rather had Jonathan Taylor. Max says PBR trade Hawkinson for Montgomery and McBride. If you really needed a running back, I'm okay in doing it. I don't know if I love trading for Montgomery specifically in a full PPR format. Kind of prefer Montgomery in a non-PPR league. Michael says 10-team PPR 7-3. We have Allen, Gibbs, Javonte, H.N. Kyron, Jefferson, Ayuk, Ridley, Sutton, Downs, Rice, Kincaid. Any moves? Really solid team. I mean, especially as we get H.N. back in and Jefferson back in. Now we have significantly more depth. So I guess with this additional depth, if you really wanted to go through and see if we could sell like Javonte in a package with maybe Sutton and go get an upgrade for the flex spot, you could look to do that. I think it would be very interesting. Now, Chris says, got two for you. Puka or DJ Moore rest of season? We're going to go Puka. And would you trade Fields for one of them straight up? We have Lamar. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, my friend. And yeah, if you wanted to send Fields for Puka, if you have Lamar Jackson, I wouldn't fault you for doing that. I wouldn't fault you for it. But yeah, definitely Puka over DJ Moore. Now, Vader says, hey, Mason, 10-team non-PBR. We have Lamar, Barkley, JT, Bijan, Diggs, Higgins, Zay, Goddard, Thomas, JSN, Moss, Henderson, Spears, Hubbard. Any moves? Thanks. Thank you. Non-PBR format, we're bumping up RBs, which we already have. We have the elite receiver with Diggs to go along with it. We have a great quarterback. We're just waiting for Higgins to come back. Honestly, no moves. Phenomenal team top to bottom. I mean, if you could send Darrell Henderson and go get a viable tight ends, maybe that's interesting whenever we have, Bijan, Diggs, Bijan, Barkley, JT, we're literally never starting Henderson. But in reality, much easier said than done, right? Like, I don't know who's going through and actually making a trade for Darrell Henderson. So probably sitting still, my friend. Now, Pedro says 10-team PBR is 6-4. We have Hurts, CMC, HN, Wilson, Smith, Hockenson, Robinson. And then on the bench, Connor, Deontay, James Cook, and Puka. Depth's not going to matter in this format. I would love to send, say, like James Cook, Brian Robinson, or James Conner, Brian Robinson, and go get a running back upgrade there when we have the kind of depth with HN coming back in, but we can afford an upgrade in the starting lineup. I'd like to do that. Zachary says 14-team dynasty full PBR 6-4. Should we trade White and Thielen for Burrow and Warren? Sit here and really think about this. So we have Baker as our quarterback now. Cousins on the IR. I would rather have Burrow in Dynasty here. The issue obviously is depending on the Burrow timeline. If he does miss it, I guess you're 6-4, right? We're going to make the playoffs regardless. And Burrow should be back for the fantasy football playoffs. So yes, I do go ahead and I make that trade because what is Adam Thielen worth after this season in Dynasty? Chad, happy to see you, says 10-team Dynasty Superflex. Got offered Dobbins, Higgins, Young, an entire 2025 class for Stroud and Ferguson. So just to let you know, Dobbins, not really worth anything at all. Essentially what we got offered, let's take out Ferguson, let's take out Dobbins. We got offered T. Higgins, Bryce Young, a future first and second for CJ Stroud. We saw Pitts, Komet, Frymuth. This is a very difficult question to answer. Obviously, as of today, CJ Stroud is an elite dynasty asset, well ahead of Bryce Young. But my thought process here is, well, T. Higgins and the late, say T. Higgins, a second, third, fourth round pick combo, that's worth the first round pick in dynasty, right? And would I rather have 2 first round picks and Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? Even with CJ Stroud looking like a significantly better quarterback, if you're telling me we're going to get 2 extra first round picks, we're going to have more flexibility in the offseason to go ahead and make moves, I probably take Young in the picks, even if clearly you don't want to be selling CJ Stroud, right? I mean, obviously you're not wanting to. Now, Sloan Dog Millionaire says 14-team BBR. Stroud, Kyler, CMC, HN, Connor, Jones, Diggs, Evans, Lockett, McBride, Ridley, Waller. Play Jones, Connor, or Lockett in the flex. 8-2. Thanks, man. Thank you, my friend. Full BBR format. I mean, Aaron Jones still getting somewhat involved as a receiver here. Trying to think. I mean, if you're looking at my rankings right now, I do have James Conner as the guy. I guess James Conner will be in the much better offense and a higher scoring matchup as well. I will go James Conner. I'm going to go James Conner. Cranabo says, say Shoddy, I'm cranking. Shoddy, I'm cranking. Started Andrews. Do we start Warren over Godwin or Laporta? It's a double flex league. No, sir. Warren, horrendous matchup going up against Cleveland. Please make sure you start Godwin and Laporta. But we are going to have to go through and we are going to have to swing this back around to the other screen. Just give me 1 second to do this, ladies and gentlemen. And as I do this, please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, of course, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% a positive match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em as well, more than less than half a total yard. But let's move this up. Our last question was the Shoddy I'm cranking question, I believe. So we can just hit a Control F. Roll this real quick. Okay, so Sloan Dog Millionaire asking if we have any moves for playoff times. So I actually just recorded a video that's going to come out tomorrow that maybe will help you out a bit, where we go ahead and we look at the best schedules for the fantasy football playoffs at wide receiver, my friend. I mean, you could go through and you could begin looking at defensive matchups, etc., and selling depth to get guys in the starting lineup, but we're kind of doing that already, right? Kind of doing that as is. Now, Lakeith says, flex Dell or Smith in a full PPR format. Thanks. Thank you, my friend. I'm going to go Smith now that we have Collins back in and we have no Dallas Goedert. Now, Vader says 10T BBR. We have Hurts, Etienne, Brees, AJ, CD, Kittle, Ramondre, JSN, London, Charbonnet, Spears, Hubbard, Dobbs, Kyron, Rice. Any moves? Thanks. Thank you. We don't have a lot of depth. I mean, if you really wanted to go through and see if we could sell, say, Rice and Ramondre Stevenson and go get a better flex, maybe we could do that. I think it could potentially be an easier move to make, however, if you were to wait until after this next week, where Rice does have a very good matchup against Philly, where maybe he has a big performance. Jovi says, benched Lamar for Stroud, but my opponent started Burrow and Boyd. Okay, well, yeah, you made out like a bandit here, my man. Offer him Lamar, Ayuk, Aaron Jones for Amon-Ra St. Brown. He has Kyler, Pollard, Bijan, Jacobs, Kyron, Hollywood, Connor, Pittman, Boyd. No, you still have the second guy. So I would start off Lamar and Ayuk for Amon-Ra. Then I'd send Lamar and Aaron Jones and see if he would make one of the deals. I like making those 2-for-1 trades. 3-for-1 is going to be a little bit more. So, I mean, if you could maybe get back someone like, I don't know, James Conner in return, just get back someone that we could start. I think that'd be interesting. If not, I tried the 2-for-1 deal. Prohibit says Tank Dell or Ope Jefferson plays Sunday night. I am operating under the assumption Jefferson will play. I am planning on Jefferson. Of course, we'll get more news regarding this tomorrow and the next day. Now, Miran says Superflex, 2 QB, PPR, 5-5. Tua, Adams, Tyreek, Jacobs, Montgomery, Ferguson, JSN, Russ. Can trade Tyreek, Russ, Jacobs for Mahomes, Connor, Saquon, Cup, or Mahomes. Should I? If not, what moves to make? Tyreek to Mahomes, 2 quarterback format. Probably Tyreek, but it's still close. Russ to Saquon. Let's go Jacobs to Saquon, lateral move. Russ to Cup, kind of take him. I think you can go ahead and make this trade if you really wanted to. Looking at this team currently, it's not like we have a ton of depth here. The real question is the points per game bump that you're going to get from Russell Wilson to Patrick Mahomes, is that more or less than the points per game loss that you're going to get from Tyreek Hill to Cooper Kupp? I think if you ask yourself that question and you answer that question for yourself, you'll have a much easier time going through and trying to figure this out. Now, Bean says trade Amari, Addison, or Hopkins for Ayuk and Odell. Amari to Ayuk, big time upgrade. Hopkins to Odell, probably give me Hopkins, but who cares? I'm going to go Ayuk. Just Sherman says just traded for Andrews and we have Frymuth on the IR. Good and bad news. Primarily bad news, my friend. But bad news is obviously no Andrews. Good news is I do think that we are going to get Frymuth back soon. No? Now, Alex says 10-team PBR 6-4. Just sold Kincaid. What do? We have Burrow, Diggs, Pittman, JT, Jacobs, Andrews, Ayuk, Deontay, Pierce, Charbonnet, Watson, Musgrave. Place the waiver wire claim for Kyler. Absolutely brutal having Andrews and Kincaid. Selling Kincaid, which was 100% the right thing to do, my friend. Like, please. Do not feel bad about that at all. But now being put in a spot where it's like, okay, well, what can I do from here, you know? I really don't know the answer. I think you're probably just sitting on your hands and going through and cutting Andrews, picking up another tight end off the waiver wire, and now playing the matchups. Rigor Mortis has offered Keenan, Waddle, Stevenson for Hall, JSN, St. Brown. So Keenan to St. Brown, up to you. Waddle to Brees, give me Brees. Stevenson to JSN, give me Stevenson. A very fair trade. I think you can go in either direction. Jacob says 8-2 because of you. I promise you that's on you, my man, but congrats. Need to know to start in the flex this week. Between Terry, Anderson, Ty, or Lockett, we have Jefferson in the IR. We'll clearly play Jefferson if he plays. I 100% agree with that, my friend. And then outside of that, between Terry, Anderson, Ty, I'm going to assume that this is a PPR format. And under that assumption, I probably want to go ahead and play Terry McLaurin with the passing volume that we have in Washington. If it is a non-PPR format, then I think you can make a much stronger argument for the running back. Tyler says Fields with the Morris stack or Sam Howell. I'll go Justin Fields in a 4-point passing touchdown format. Maybe. No, we're going to go Fields regardless. John says single flex, 10-team PPR, 7-3. We have Allen, CMC, Achane, Olave, Evans, McBride, Lockett, Davis, Mitchell, Chuba, Pitts. Trade ideas for Jefferson or Devonta Smith. So Smith, one thing that you could look to do is you could look to see if we could package together maybe Tyler Lockett and Chuba Hubbard and go get Devonta Smith. In reality, you most likely be looking to sell Mike Evans straight up for Smith. That could be something we look to do. Not saying you need to. Obviously, Evans been so much better so far this season. I don't mind the idea of trading for Smith, though, with the Goddard injury. And then for Jefferson, what you could look to do is you could look to sell Evans and a piece. Evans and Keaton Mitchell, Evans and Chuba, Evans and Gabe Davis, Evans and Lockett, and see if we can get to Jefferson that way, or the same thing with Olave. It's not a team with a ton of depth, though, so I think it's going to be a little bit tougher. It'll definitely be easier said than done. Now, D-Brob says trade James Cook, Amari Dotson for Nico, Connor, Singletary. Playoffs start next starting week. 14-team double flex PPR. I'm 7-3. Cook to Connor, give me Connor. Amari to Nico, up to you. Dotson to Singletary, kind of up to you, probably Singletary. I'm going to go with the Nico, Connor, and Singletary side. I mean, especially with the Deshaun Watson injury, where I just don't think Amari's interesting anymore. P. Smith says 6-4, non-PPR. We have Mahomes, Brees, Saquon, Brown, Puka, Laporta, Achane, and then on the bench, Keaton or Ramondre, Down, Sutton. What are your thoughts? Any trades? Thanks, Space. Appreciate you, my friend. Non-PPR format. Want to build around the elite quarterback and the running backs? We've already done it. You're in a phenomenal spot. The only thing I could possibly have is, okay, well, Ramondre is the only viable in a full PPR league. If you wanted to sell Ramondre in a package with maybe Puka and see if you can go get a stud wide receiver, especially Puka's maybe someone we're a little less excited about in a non-PPR format compared to a full PPR league. Maybe you could look to do that, my friend. Now, Hans says, lost Andrews, Ertz, Mayer, Knox, Higbee, or Everett rest of season. If I had to pick one of these guys, probably going to go Michael Mayer. Now, Elijah says, 12-team full PPR, I'm 7-3. Got offered Mahomes, Eckler, Godwin for Tua, Allen, Deontay. We have Etienne, Javonte, Tyreek, Addison, and Hawkinson already. So Mahomes over Tua, Eckler, Allen, up to you. Godwin, Deontay, give me Godwin. So I'm going to go ahead. I will take Mahomes, Eckler, and Godwin, even if Keenan's been phenomenal. Now, Doctor coming out saying 5-5, 12-team non-PPR. Got offered Hurts and Kirk for Evans and Kittle. Have Dak to rely on moving forward. Any thoughts? P.S. Gus Bus needs his respect. I'll say in a non-PPR format, 100% this guy needs his respect. Full PPR leagues where it gets a little bit tougher with him not having the receiving volume. But non-PPR, we're going to bump up the value to an elite level quarterback. Obviously, Dak is someone that we are excited about as is. What I would say is if we could sell Dak and Kittle for Jalen Hurts and Kirk, we probably do it. But we don't really need to trade for Jalen Hurts if we have Dak, right? So I don't know if we're excited to send Mike Evans and Kittle. Now, Dat Ratchet says 4-6, 12-team PPR. CJ Fields, Lamb, St. Brown, Kirk, Addison, Flowers, Nico, Mixon, Etienne, Brees, Lenny, Waller, Kincaid. 4-win streak. We went from 0-6 to somehow in the mix. That is awesome. And need to win to make the playoffs. Any suggestions on trades? Very well-balanced roster. I don't have much for you. If you really wanted to send like Christian Kirk and CJ Stroud, now that we're getting Justin Fields back in, and get just an absolute stud at wide receiver, maybe that could be something that you go ahead and look to do. Just frankly, I don't know if it's possible. Garage Gym Fitness says, I legit just traded Stroud, Swift, and Cup for Burrow, Eckler, Ridley. Make me feel better about it. We have CMC as my other running back. Allen, Waddle, Deonta, Puka. Okay, so let's look at this trade regardless of if we had any injuries or not, right? Let's just say, okay, no injuries. What does this look like? Stroud to Burrow, probably an upgrade in my mind. Close enough. Swift to Eckler, Give me Eckler, Cup to honestly, I don't even love the trade as is. I mean, if Burrow's 100% healthy. I mean, we have a great team here with CMC and these stud receivers, especially if we added in Austin Eckler. I mean, it is a phenomenal team where still it's going to be very difficult for someone to beat you. I don't know. I just think that maybe I'm a little bit biased with the Burrow injury now, and obviously we saw this just played out, but it does sound like Burrow can be back sooner rather than later. It doesn't sound like it's going to be super, super serious. Robert says, I benched Gus, but what's a good running back target for packaging out of Connor and Waddle or Sutton? Need to win now. It's a 12-team map PPR format. So let me go ahead and pull up the community rankings on flockfantasy.com. Just give me 1 second here. Okay. So if we're going from Connor and Sutton, I would love to get to Bijan, Swift, Mixon, Jacobs. What I would do, go to flockfantasy.com, my man. Completely free. Don't even need to make an account. Just go to the community rankings. Just hit rankings. And you can see how the community is valuing these players. I would look for any running back inside the top 12 rankings. Any RB. And by packaging together Sutton and Connor. Ruby says 12-team, have BBR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs tied into a flex. Mahomes, Tyreek, Wilson, Higgins, JT, Jones, Kelsey, Dell, Henderson, Downs, Spears, Singletary. Any moves? Okay. The elite quarterback, the elite tight end, Tyreek Hill to go alongside it, JT to go alongside it. No moves. Phenomenal team. Literally picture perfect. I wish all my teams looked like this. I don't know what the hell you could do. Now, Paulo says 10-team BBR 4 and 6. Mahomes, Mostert, HN, Mixon, Hall, Robinson, Wilson, Ayuk, Rice, Hill, Hockenson, Howell. Who to start, who to move, single flex league. Maybe if we can go to the Deshaun Watson team, maybe if we can go to the Joe Burrow team and go, hey, man, I'll give you, say, Brian Robinson, Sam Howell, and Brandon Ayuk. Give me the best wide receiver I can get. Ultimately, we have Mostert, HN, Mixon, Hall, Brian Robinson. We have 5 viable running backs, right? So what I would look to do is I'd look to take someone with the high floor, but maybe a little bit of cap ceiling in Brian Robinson and see if we can package him to get a wide receiver upgrade. Michael says 18 PBR Superflex. Trade Kittle for McBride. I would rather have Kittle over McBride, but they are in the same tier. They're almost back-to-back. Jindy says 12-team Superflex PBR tight end premium. Puka and K. Dotton or 2 late first. I would rather have 2 first in a 12-team Superflex league. I think it gives you way more flexibility in the offseason. Now, Michael says 12-team at PBR looking for a ceiling flex between Godwin, Rice, Warren, Noah Brown. Also, Ford or Singletary. Appreciate it. Appreciate you, my friend. I think we, oh my gosh. We go Singletary over Ford if Pierce misses. We're going to go Godwin there. Godwin is someone that's hard to say that he has some crazy ceiling, though. Going up against the 49ers, it is hard to get with it. Now, Pedro says, rate my start. I am very sorry, my friend. I do not see your lineup. I am very, very sorry. But let me go to our other page to see if we can find anything. So it's out from Pedro. Control F. Ooh, actually popped up a couple things here. So maybe we do have something. Non-PPR format, not in love with the running backs. Wide receivers are great. Tight ends great. Burrow's good. We really need to sell some wide receiver production for running back. My issue with the team is I know Rachaad White's been getting there as of late from a non-PPR format with touchdowns, it's just probably not going to continue to keep up this way. I think Rachaad White is a very appealing player in a full PPR league. Non-PPR league, it's a little bit tougher. And then this team with CMC, this is a very well-balanced team. Lead quarterback, lead tight ends, Christian McCaffrey. I love the other team. Now, Paulie says, 3 wide receiver double flex. We have Howell, Hill, Cup, Amari, Pollard, Montgomery, Njoku, McLaurin, Metcalf. And then on the bench, Madison, Ford, Douglas. Do we trade Pollard, Metcalf, and McLaurin for Diggs, Williams, and Singletary? So this is a format where depth definitely matters. Pollard to Diggs, give me Diggs. Metcalf to Javonte, up to you. In this format in particular, I kind of like the wide receiver. McLaurin to Singletary, in this format in particular, definitely McLaurin. So typically I don't love going through and selling those depth wide receivers in a league where we can start up to 5 receivers. Guys like Metcalf and McLaurin are players in this league I kind of like building around, but at that price, I think you can sell. Now, Ryan says, got offered Thielen for McBride. Do we take it? If you have another viable tight end, yeah, go get Adam Thielen. Now, Cameron says, we have Etienne, Brees, Javonte Laporta. Need to start 2 running backs in a flex. It's a happy BR format. Must win this game. So our running back's going to be Etienne and Brees. Between Javonte and Laporta, I'd rather have Laporta rest of season just based off the positional advantage he gives you at tight end. But if it's just raw points, if we're going for the flex, give me the running back with the starting role. Let's go Javonte. Now, Jacob says 7-3 PBR, 10-team league. We have Hurts, Bijan, Walker, Chandler, AJ, Evans, Andrews, Nico, Browns, Ridley, JT, Myers, Stroud, Schultz. Looking at playoffs with the Andrews injury, any moves? Yeah, the Andrews injury does put us in a little bit of a compromising spot. So what I would say is if you can maybe move off of CJ Stroud and pick up another top-end tight end, go pick up someone like TJ Hawkinson. Maybe we have to go a little bit lower. Maybe instead we're going to go to Sam Laporta. Maybe instead we're going to go to Dalton Kincaid. I would love to sell like CJ Stroud for Kincaid on a team where we just lost Jalen Hurts and we have, we just lost Mark Andrews and we have Jalen Hurts. Now, LLG says 10-0. Hell yes, my friend. 12-team PPR. We have Dak, Bijan, Eckler, Lamb, Zay, JSN, Higgins, McBride, Goddard, Hubbard. Just traded Najee for JSN. Any moves for the playoffs? Much love. You know I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for everything. And honestly, no. I think we have young guys. I think we have guys that are going to continue to get better. I think that we have players that are injured, such as Higgins, where we are waiting for the long-term upside. Clearly, we are 10-0 for a reason, my man. I mean, you are out here crushing. I mean, I'm very happy for you. Thank you so much for being a long-time member of the flock. I think you honestly just got to wait until these young guys continue to improve and we just continue to get healthier. The team's only going up. Now let's move this back over. And as I do this, let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like only about, we're 1 like away from hitting 400 likes on this stream. And we've had about 6,000 people watch it. So I'm no mathematician. But what's 400 divided by 6,000? Only about 6% of y'all have hit that like button. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. I mean, we are going to live stream every single day until 2024. Have not missed a day since April. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Now, Chase says, added Dobbs off waivers. Traded him and Derrick Henry for Diggs. Only deal we could do. Great deal. We have Saquon JT, market for Flowers, Saquon, Musgrave, or keep. I'm going to keep Flowers now that we have the Andrews injury. If you could send Saquon and Musgrave and go get like an elite tight end, go swindle yourself into Kelsey, Hawkinson, maybe you do that. Only one first. Yeah, so I understand, Chad. I was saying I think that you could trade T. Higgins in the 2nd round pick for another 1st rounder. So essentially, say you're trading CJ Stroud for Bryce Young, a 1st, T. Higgins, and a 2nd. What I'm saying is you could go to another deal where you sell T. Higgins in a second for a first. So you're essentially trading CJ Stroud for Bryce Young and 2 first-round picks. If we're just trying to simple it down for the value side of things. Joshua says, 8-2, thanks to you. No, thank you, my friend. How BBR is Swift or Mixon good? It depends on the Burrow injury. I mean, if Burrow's good to go, then yeah, you can go Mixon. If Burrow's not, I prefer Swift. We have Mostert. What can we get for him? Am I screwed? Who to play? Watson, Dotson, Sutton. We're going to go Sutton there. And then I don't think you're screwed. I think you just start Mostert. But yeah, I mean, we have been talking about Mostert being a sellout guy over the past few weeks. Now that HN is back in, I think it's probably too late to sell him. Burner accounts as 5-5, lost 2 games by a point. Happy BR. Any trades before the deadline? The team is Goff, Stafford, HN, Mostert, Connor, Jacobs, Khalil, Kincaid, Schultz, Davis, Downs, Brown, Judy, Reed. If we can trade one of these running backs, if you can go send, say, Devon Achane and Jared Goff and go get an elite level quarterback, go get a top 3 to 4 QB, that's a move that I personally would look to make, my friend. I mean, I would really like making that pivot. Colin says, we have Gibbs, ETN, CMC. Should we get Diggs and give Jefferson and Achane? No, I think you're giving up too much, even though you have a great team. Also, opinions on Keenan, Jamar, and Puka, and who should we get for them? They're great players, and you're overthinking it. You're sitting with Gibbs, ETN, CMC, Keenan, Jamar, Puka, and Jefferson, and Achane. My friend, if you wanted to sell, say, Jefferson and Achane and try to go get Tyreek with how loaded that team is, we can do it. But yeah, that's crazy. Now, Max says trade targets for Jacobs. If you're looking at the community rankings right now on flockfantasy.com, the guys right ahead of him are Bijan, Swift, Mixon. If you wanted to sell him for any of those 3 players, I wouldn't fault you for it. Now, Driz says trade Javonte for Ferguson. We had the Lamar Andrews stack. Someone dropped Fields in my league. Should we drop Rice, Warren, or Charbonnet for him? Ooh, tough spot. I would not trade Javonte for Jake Ferguson. What could be interesting is if you wanted to see if you could sell, say, Javonte and Lamar and go pivot over to an elite level tight ends. And then with the open roster spot, pick up Justin Fields for free. Maybe that's something you could do instead. I don't love those other moves, though, to be honest. Now, Malik says, happy BR, trying to figure out who to flex. We have Hollywood, Javonte, Ty, Pacheco, and Rashee Rice. So Pacheco not as good of a play this week going up against the Eagles in a very tough matchup. Based off the guaranteed role that he does have, I think that he is appealing, though. I probably end up going Javonte this week, Pacheco most other weeks with that tough matchup. I think we can bench Pacheco. Colson says 12-team at BBR, Pollard, Jones, Singletary, Chandler, forward, start 3. We're going to go Pollard, Jones, Singletary if Dameon Pierce misses. If Dameon Pierce plays, then we probably pivot from Singletary to Chandler so we can see what that Singletary role is before we have to make that call. Now, Reed says, what's up, Mace? 8-2, 16-team at BBR single flex, 3 bench spots. We have Kyler, Hal, HN, Swift, Henry, Lamb, Puka, Deontay, Lockett, Kincaid. What moves should we make? $16-team league, depth's going to matter significantly more for the starting lineup, but I guess actually waiver wire options should be fine if you only have 3 bench spots. So never mind, ignore me. Very well-balanced format. I mean, it's a PBR league. great team in a 16-team league. I don't have anything for you. I mean, Deontay Johnson was that sell-high guy for us about 2 weeks back. Now you're not really going to get anything for him. Honestly, great team. I think you are probably chilling with the 16-team format. I think the wide receiver depth actually matters. Now, Nick says 10-team, half PPR. 3 receivers, a single flex. Herbert, Olave, Cup, Pickens, CMC. Mostert, Hall, Laporta. And then on the bench, Warren, Johnston, McBride, Pacheco, Achane. In first place, any moves? We get Achane coming back in. We have the depth of Pacheco as well. So we just have a ridiculous amount of running back depth. For that reason, I mean, I think we can afford to go out there, and I think we can afford to get an upgrade at wide receiver. I would love to see if we get back together like Pacheco and Pickens and go get a wide receiver that we are more excited about. Trying to think. Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing that we are looking to do, my friend. In says 20-team league. Should we prioritize upgrading from Chuba or Njoku? I can probably get Connor, but also was thinking about going for Kincaid or McBride. I would rather punt the tight end position in that 20-team format and go and get that running back. So if we can get James Conner there, my friend, I think we would. Jacoby says Ridley and Walker for McBride and Pacheco. What are your thoughts? McBride over Ridley, Walker over Pacheco. I think it's a fair deal depending on your team. Jake says, with JT on bye and T hurt, do we start Warren, Hubbard, or McBride in the slot? Probably going to go Trey McBride if it's a full PBR format. Jalen Warren and Chuba Hubbard, horrible matchups against Cleveland and Dallas. Also, we have the option to pick up Ty Chandler, Brandon Cooks. Thanks as always. Appreciate you. Probably play Ty Chandler, to be completely honest with you. Obviously, it would just be a 1-week thing. Derek says, single flex, DJ, Evan Ingram. Thank you, my friend. We are going to go with DJ Moore over Evan Ingram. Now, Robert says, growth situation because of bye weeks. Ian Jefferson might not play, but we need to pick 2. Guyton, Rondale, Ty Chandler. Love the channel. Thank you, my friend. Ty Chandler's really easy. Guyton versus Rondale Moore will be a little bit tougher. Operating under the assumption that Keenan Allen's going to go, we're going to go Rondale Moore, which is what we were told earlier today. Now, if Keenan Allen does not play, I think go Guyton. Guyton's more so like the field stretching wide receiver. He's like the wind sprinter, though. So I don't know realistically how excited you can be about him. Adam says, ATX only 10-team at BBR. Offer to get Amon-Ra for Dobbs from the Burr. Oh, go get Amon-Ra St. Brown easily. Do not hold Dobbs. You have, go pick up a quarterback off the waiver wire for the Josh Allen buy. No, go get Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's a no-brainer. Now, Radville says, 10-team at BBR, 3 receivers. Trade Saquon and Nico for Devontae Adams. I probably prefer Saquon and Nico, to be completely honest with you. Don't mind selling Saquon. I just think that we probably need a better price. Chris says start Puka, Collins, or Singletary at the flex this week. I'm going to go with Puka at the flex spot. Sounds like Stafford should be fully good to go. Fisher says, hey, Mason, 5-5, 12-team BBR. We're going to go Mahomes or Stroud. Also, just traded Bijan and Flowers for Mixon and Collins. Kind of liking it because of the game tonight, and I'm struggling at running back, but hook 'em all day. Appreciate you, my friend. Hook 'em horns. I will say I don't love selling Flowers with Andrews' injury, but still. And we are going to go Mahomes over Stroud, not only for this week, but also for rest of season. I understand, yes, it is a tough matchup for Mahomes against the Eagles. And what is funny is you actually have a lower implied team total for the Chiefs than you do the Texans this week. Ryan says, Connor Brian Robinson, rest of season in a PPR format. Brian Robinson's been much better so far this season. I think that probably swings in the favor of James Conner relatively soon. Let me pull up where they have him on the community rankings, flockfantasy.com. You have Connor at 24. You have Robinson 26. So they are pretty much back to back. I do think it's up to you. I probably prefer James Conner. Now, V Zyrtec says 12-team BBR double flex. We have Hurts, Lamb, Puka, Swift, Kamara, McBride, Hollywood Smith. We also have Higgins on the bench. What are your thoughts? Okay. Double flex league. I like having the depth. We obviously waiting around for Higgins isn't going to be too much longer. May have to wait around for Burrow at the same time, but it is nice that he gets the 10-day rest. Full BBR format, so the running backs that are going to catch the ball move the needle here. Honestly, great team. Great team, non-BBR format. Probably want to be a fan of the actual players that we have, but they're in that format. I think you're good. Keaton says, must-win situation. We have McLaurin, Wilson, Debo, HN, Jones. Pick one for my RB2 and one for my wide receiver 2, and the remaining at the flex. We're going to go HN at RB2. We're going to go Garrett Wilson at wide receiver. And we'll go Aaron Jones for your flex. Also, Chase might, just might, put my season to bed as it is. At least Jamar Chase did something at the very end of the game, right? Well, it's very frustrating, and while we would have way rather had a better game from Jamar Chase, could have been a whole lot worse. Now, Moses says 12-team BBR, HN, Cook, Kincaid, Wilson for Smith, Hockenson, Connor. We have Eckler, Kupp, Godwin, Singletary, Madison. The other guys, Diggs and Allen, if that matters. Kincaid, Hockenson, give me Hockenson. Wilson to Smith, up to you. HN to Connor, give me HN. We're paying Cook to get it done. I think I'd rather have the HN side. While I'm not expecting HN to be as productive as he was before the injury, I still think that this is someone that we can say, okay, well, we know that the upside is there if he does see a little more volume. Now, SDS says, have an offer for Joshua Dobbs. We have Hurts and Burrow. Team says they'll give me Sutton, Najee, or Hollywood if I deal him. If it is a one quarterback format, double flex league, we're going to go ahead with this team. We're going to sell Joshua Dobbs for Hollywood Brown. We have Jalen Hurts through his bye. We're already probably rostering too many quarterbacks as is. Don't want to roster 3 guys here for sure. So, yeah, I would sell Dobbs and go get Hollywood, who we can start in that second flex. Now, Johnny says 10-team full BBR single flex, 5 and 5. We have Tua, Moore, Addison, Walker, Henry, Kelsey, Pollard, and then on the bench, Hopkins, Kyler, Cook, Ford, Rice, Khalil. Any moves rest of season? Who should we trade for? Great team. The only thing I'd say is if you really wanted to go out there and get an upgrade at wide receiver 2, I mean, we have a lot of these depth options, but not necessarily that top end guy. Where if you could go to the Burrow team, go to the Deshaun Watson team, and go, hey man, I'll give you Kyler Murray and Jordan Addison, give me an elite level wide receiver. That could be something that you look to do if you believe that you can start 2 every single week, which you probably can, right? Because, yeah, that's the thing. Like, we have a lot of depth and we have startable players. Just don't necessarily have someone that we're super, super excited about. Leon also say, Mason, should we trade Chase for Devonta Smith and Alvin Kamara? Or Devonta Smith and Tony Pollard? Or neither? I'm nervous on Chase because of Burrow's potential injury. Sounds like the Burrow injury is not as serious as we had initially worry about. I'd probably say we do neither one of these trades and hope that he's going to be okay. I probably say we do neither deal here, my friend. Shane says, full BBR, Jacobs, Collins, Al, Kincaid for Kupp and Mahomes. So Jacobs to Kupp, up to you in your roster. Howell, Collins, Kincaid versus Mahomes. If it is a shallow format, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Kupp and Mahomes. Especially as you've already had Kupp and Mahomes through their respective buys. You're only going to have to roster one quarterback rest of season. I understand that Sam Howell has had a ton of passing volume, right? But it is difficult to just pencil him in for 40, 50 passing attempts rest of season here. Chuck says trade Mixon for Montgomery now. It's a half PPR format. If you are significantly worried about the Joe Burrow injury, then yes, you can. Obviously, it's going to come down to how much time Joe Burrow is going to miss here. Okay. Now, Cosmic says 12-team PPR. We have Stroud, Dell, A.J. Brown. Wilson, Kamara, H.N., Kyron, Kincaid, McBride, Amari, Kyler. Any moves? Traded Barkley and Deshaun for A.J. earlier in the week. Beautiful. Honestly, phenomenal team. I don't necessarily do much here. If you really wanted to take two wide receivers and package them together to get a slightly better receiver, you can. Like if you want to sell Dell and Amari in a package and go get the best wide receiver possible, you do you go for it. Just much easier said than done, assuming that you are going to get anything of significance. Now, Thomas says Kelsey and Olave for McBride and Jefferson. We lost Andrews. Fair deal, up to you. I probably prefer the Kelsey side because Kelsey's gone through his bye where Jefferson has not. Isaiah says 10-team full BBR league. Was offered White or Kamara for Kyler. Full BBR format, if you have another viable quarterback, I would definitely sell Kyler Murray for Alvin Kamara, my friend. Peyton says 18 PBR, start Dak, Pollard, Swift, Keenan, Kupp, Hockenson, Tank. On the bench, we have Burrow, Walker, Addison, Zay, and Schultz. Trade Allen, Walker, Schultz for A.J. Brown and Jacobs. I was going to pick up Ferguson. Allen to A.J. Brown upgrade. Walker to Jacobs upgrade. Schultz to get it done. Ferguson off the waiver wire. 100% we're going to go out there and do this. 8-team league, we want the best player in the deal, which I think you are getting. Now, AJ says 2 or Allen this week. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you, my friend. I am going to go with Josh Allen if it's a 4-point rushing touchdown. 4-point passing touchdown, where rushing upside matters a little bit more. Now, Tyler says Gibbs for Jacobs and Kirk. We have Swift, Hall, Connor. Full BBR format, probably for Jahmyr Gibbs. Justin says 3-7 10-team league. We have Herbert, Dak, Montgomery, Javonte, Tyreek, Lamb, Kincaid, Addison, Rasheed, Gabe, Sanders, Charbonnet, Dotson. Should we do Tyreek and Montgomery for Breece, Waddle, and Rachaad White? So Montgomery to Rachaad White, kind of up to you. Full BBR format. Maybe I go White given the receiving usage. However, Tyreek down to Breece and Waddle is just going to be a significant downgrade. So to be honest with you, my friend, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to keep Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill through his bye week as well. And at the same time, it's a 10-team format, so depth should be a little bit easier to come by as at the same time. So I think, honestly, you are chilling, and I don't think you have to do anything there. I think you kind of sit on your hands here, my friend. Now, Bob's Chicken Briquette says, 12-team, half PPR league. We have Hurts, Stroud, JT, Najee, Walker, Charbonnet, Pierce, Tyreek, Puka, Brown, London, JSN, Laporta, and Ferguson. Any moves? So we have 2 top-end quarterbacks, right? So, especially if Jalen Hurts is already through his bye, and we don't really have, I guess we have Kenneth Walker, but I mean, I would like to upgrade from Walker. If you could go through and sell CJ Stroud and Kenneth Walker and pivot over to a top end running back, go get someone like ETN, go get someone like Kamara, go get someone like Taylor. I think that would make a lot of sense, my friend. Now, Ricky says trade Kenneth Walker for Kyron and Christian Kirk. I'd probably rather have Walker. Manfred says I traded Walker and Tank for Bijan. I would rather have Bijan there if you had the wide receiver depth. Jalen says I traded Ridley for Taysom. Obviously, Ridley, not any good. Taysom, someone that I'm never comfortably relying on. I've been way too low on Taysom every single week, so you probably don't want to listen to me. I don't know if Taysom's the guy I want to trade Ridley for, but I'm never going to tell someone to not trade Ridley. Matthew says 12-team PPR first place, 8-2. We have Kyler, Saquon, Javonte, Lamb, Diggs, Andrews, Kirk, Thielen, Pacheco, Fields, Kirk for McBride, and any other tight end ideas. Okay. If we have Fields and Kyler, my initial thing is I would try to see if we can get to the Hawkinson tier, where if you wanted to send like Fields and Kirk and try to get to Hawkinson instead, I think that would be my plan A, or Kyler and Kirk to go get Hawkinson. And if not, I wouldn't mind if this is our backup plan to trade for McBride. Okay, so Bob Chicken says it was 7-3 in this previous message. Yeah, 7-3, definitely. Probably looking to make that move, as we are only thinking about the fantasy football playoffs. They are primarily thinking about the playoffs. Now, 2D says 12-team PPR in first place, 8-2. We have Tua, AJ, Lamb, Olave, Walker, Jones, Musgrave, Kirk, Sutton, JSN, Stevenson, Fry, Charbonnet. Trade Sutton, Musgrave for Schultz and Singletary. So we need a starting tight ends. I am fine if you want to do this. My one hesitation with it being a league where you start 3 wide receivers, Sutton does matter a little bit more. That would be my one hesitation there. Hogan says, I need a win bad, Lawrence or Kyler. Lawrence probably in a bounce back spot against Tennessee. I'm going to go Kyler with the rushing upside, though. Kevin says, happy be our second flex spot. Trade Hunt for Puka. Oh, hell yeah, go get Puka. Jesse says, do we start Goff, Sam Howell, or Kyler Murray? Sam Howell's been the best guy so far this season. I personally probably go Kyler Murray with the rushing upside. With the rushing upside that Kyler has, I probably go with Kyler over Sam Howell. Derek says, full BBR for the flex, Chandler, Deontay, or Evan Ingram. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, my friend. Going to go Tyler Chandler under the assumption, of course, that we have no Alexander Madison. Now, Zach says, with Andrews likely out rest of season, what do you think about Pollard and Higgins for Kupp and Kincaid? Pollard to Kupp, upgrade. Higgins to Kincaid, especially with the Burrow injury now. Give me Kincaid. So, yeah, I like it. Let's go get Kincaid. I think Kincaid's top 5 tight end rest of season. Ronville says, 10-team at BBR 5-5. We have Hurts, Kupp, Puka, Nico, Higgins, Deontay, Barkley, Hall, Javonte, Ford, Connor, H, and Kyron. Who do we start? Any moves? Keep the grind going. Appreciate you. Okay, our starting lineup, we're going to go ahead. We're going to go Kupp, Puka, wide receiver. Running back, we're going to go Barkley, Hall. Our flex, we're going to go Achan. And we have so much depth here where if you really wanted to send, say, Puka and Javonte or Ford and Kupp and go get an upgrade at wide receiver, we have this many startable players. I think we can go out there and do it. Manfred says, I traded Walker for Bijan and Tank. Was it a bad deal? I'd rather have Bijan there. I'm going to go Bijan over Walker, my friend. Now, Logan says, should we trade Purdy, Taysom, Kupp for Pollard, Kyron, Charbonnet? Kupp to Pollard, downgrade. Taysom to Charbonnet, up to you. Purdy to Kyron, upgrade. We need depth. Purdy's my third string. Taysom's our backup. So Purdy has literally no value. So we're trading Kupp for Pollard, Kyron, and Charbonnet, essentially. If depth's hard to come by in your league, then yes, I'm fine doing it. Now, Paul says, team rating, we have Hurts, Hill, Adams, Jacobs, Brees, Montgomery, Hawkinson. Should we trade anyone and for who? So we have the elite level quarterback with Jalen Hurts. I would rank him as QB2 rest of season. We have Hill Adams. So we have the wide receiver 1. And on top of that, we have another wide receiver. We have a top 12 wide receiver. I mean, running back, we arguably have 2 to 3 RB1s. We have the elite level tight end. Phenomenal team, well balanced as well. And we are making a consolidated bet here that the Raiders offense is better than people expect. And if that's the case, then we hit on both these guys. So great team. I don't think you need to do anything. I think it's a phenomenal squad. And he says standard Lamar, Stroud, HN, JT, Swift, Henderson, Cup, Amon-Ra, Amari, Downs, Brown, Laporta, Schultz. Any moves? Thanks. Thank you. Obviously, I mean, we would look to go through and see if we can extract a ton of value out of one of these quarterbacks. If you really wanted to send Stroud and Amari and get an elite level receiver for the flex spot, you could look to do that. If you want to send like Lamar and Laporta and see if we can go get to Travis Kelce and just start Stroud every week, that's another option. Y'all are just sending loaded teams tonight. Mr. Ling Lang coming out saying 10 deep, full BBR, single flex. We have Lamar, Eckler, Gibbs, Diggs, Amon-Ra, Laporta, HN. And then on the bench, Debo, Cook, Kincaid, Howell, Bijan, Pollard, Javonte. Any changes or any trade targets? We have so much depth on this team. I think it's another one of those teams where, I mean, you can go out there and you can see if we could sell like Kincaid and HN and pivot over to a top 5 running back, pivot over to Travis Etienne, right? Just because you can afford it. Or Laporta and HN and go get Etienne and start Kincaid. We have Bijan, Pollard down there on the bench as our RB4 and RB5 options. This is literally just an absurd team. Another thing you could look to do is you could look to see if we can sell like HN, Laporta, and go get Kelce. An unbelievable team. Paul says bench Douglas, Pierce, Singletary, and Conklin. So it's going back to that other team. I would say that you can probably go ahead and cut Tyler Conklin at this point, my friend. I mean, you have Hawkinson. We're essentially just picking up someone for the bye week for Hawkinson. I would rather wait till we get there and then just you'll find someone better than Conklin off waivers. Leonel says, I heard depending on severity, Burrow could be out from 1 to 4 weeks. I'm 6-4. My only running backs are Henry and Bijan. Should I still keep Chase or trade? I think it is too early to know. I think I'm going to be sitting on my hands for the time being, my friend. Some people are coming out claiming that Burrow may be good to go right away. Some people are saying Burrow's going to be good to go. I have no idea. I'd probably say it's a spot that I'm just kind of avoiding. Like trying to make some big proclamation. I don't want to tell you to, go through and panic sell Jamar Chase. I don't want to tell you to do that. Payne says, so Keenan, Walker, Schultz for AJ and Josh Jacobs, fair. Keenan to AJ Brown, give me AJ Brown. Kenneth Walker to Josh Jacobs, give me Josh Jacobs. Or Payne Schultz, get it done. Yes, I went the AJ Brown side. Chris says, just lost Andrews, trade Travis Etienne for HN and Schultz. Best tight end on waivers is Fry. He's sitting at 8-2. No, I'm going to keep Travis Etienne. I would rather stream tight end or pay up for someone a little bit better. Benjamin says 12-team BBR single flex. We have Mahomes, Gibbs, Warren, St. Brown, Adams, Kelce, Deontay, and then on the bench, London, Algier, Bijan, Pittman, Logan Thomas. Any moves? Thanks for helping build the team. Thank you, my friend. The elite quarterback tight end bookending us. RB2 would be nice to upgrade. I mean, we're going to get Bijan back from the bye. Honestly, no, great team. The only thing I'd say is potentially now that we have Kelce through his bye, maybe don't roster the backup tight end and see if we can roster another running back that's an injury away from making a difference. Now, Vic says, thoughts on the team and rest of season, any moves? Worried about running backs and playoff schedules. It's a 12-team PPR, 8-2, number 1 in the league. We have Lamar, Goff, Mostert, Jones, Connor, Rashad, Tyreek, Amon-Ra, Hollywood, Tank, and Schultz. Okay, trying to think here. If you really wanted, if you really wanted to trade Tank and like Aaron Jones or Tank and Mostert, or Tank and Rashad White and pivot over to someone like Bijan Robinson that has that number 1 playoff schedule at the running back position, maybe that's something you could look to go ahead and do. Or maybe, honestly, if you have 4 running backs that are viable, if you wanted to see if we could go through and send one of these running backs, such as like James Conner and Dalton Schultz, and go get someone solid at tight ends that's in that upper tier, guys like Sam Laporta, that could also be something we look to do. 20 says 6-4. We have Lawrence, A.J. Brown, Adams, Bijan, Hall, Andrews, McLaurin, and then on the bench, Cook, Gabe, Dillon, Gibson, Johnson, Reed, Frymuth. Can I recover from losing Andrews, or am I cooked? What's tough is we don't really have the depth here to go and trade for a tight end. I don't think you're cooked. All I would say is you're probably going to be dropping Andrews, obviously picking up a tight end. And if Lawrence is our current quarterback, I'd probably roster another QB to play waivers as well. So I'd probably actually go through and like drop Jaden Reed or drop Gibson, drop one of those guys and pick up another quarterback off the waiver wire. Sean says, yo, thanks for the advice year over year. I'm in a 10-team, 7-3, probably 8-3 league. No, thank you for everything, my man. We have Purdy, Thielen, Lamb, Diggs, Olave. Jones, Walker, Charbonnet, Dillon, Cook. Am I locked in? Okay. Stroud, Purdy, yes, we're locked in a quarterback. We have 2 top 5 wide receivers. We have 2 borderline high-end wide receiver 2s as well. The only thing you could potentially do, depending on the value that you could get, if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I wouldn't mind going out there and saying that we can afford an upgrade at tight end, where if you wanted to send Chris Olave and Kyle Pitts and go get to Sam Laporta and go get to TJ Hawkinson, that would be something that I'd be fine doing just because we can afford it with how good this team is. But outside of that, I think you are locked in, my friend. Big Verg says 0-5 start. Now I'm 5-5. Unbelievable. Kick Lawrence off the team. Riding with CJ and Kyler. Are we going to start Chandler or White this week? White has a horrendous matchup against San Fran. We will go Rashad White though, my friend. But great team. Great quarterback room. As he says, 12-team Superflex Dynasty with Young, Howell, and 3 first-round picks, including the 103. What's a good haul for Howell? The issue is, right, like if we were going to look to go through and we were going to look to try to get a gauge of the Sam Howell value, where do you want him? Do you want him on a contending team? Does he? Probably, right? That's probably where you need him. Even though he's a year 2 player, I don't really want him on a rebuilder. This team could easily bring in a quarterback next year. I would sell Sam Howell for any future first. And I'm assuming that you are a team that's looking for the long-term play here. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but that's my assumption. I wouldn't sell him for a second. I wouldn't sell him for a second and a third. Maybe if you wanted to send like Sam Howell and another depth contending, like a producing piece right now and see if we can get a future first, that'd be nice. Michael says, Mason the man, 12-team at BBR 7-3. We have Herbert, Eckler, JT, Diggs, Puka, Andrews, White, Kyron, Singletary, Ferguson on the bench. Should we push for Hawkinson? You can try, but what's the deal? Is it Rachaad White and Jake Ferguson? The trade would be Rachaad White, Jake Ferguson for Hawkinson. If you can pull it off, do it. I think it's much easier said than done, though. Ethan says traded Kelsey for Gibbs and Dell. Traded Pollard and Montgomery for ETN. Do not like the Kelsey deal. The ETN one I do. Lineup is now Mahomes, ETN, Gibbs, Kyron, Keaton, Tajee, Chuba, CD, Garrett, Waddle, Dell, Brown, McBride. What are your thoughts? I really like the team. I wish we could have got in a time machine and kept Travis Kelce here. I don't necessarily think you needed to go out and pay this price for Gibbs and Dell, to be honest. I'd rather kept the Mahomes Kelce stack. Now, Jellian says, full BBR league, I'm 8-2. We have Tua, Brown, St. Brown. I mean, we got both Browns here. JT, HN, McBride, Flowers. And then on the bench, Moore, Ingram, Singletary. Rice, Spears. Do we upgrade or hold? Was trying to get a running back upgrade from HN. The trade would be more in 8. I mean, if you really could go get to like ETN, then sure, you do it. I don't necessarily know like if we have that much value on the bench where we can. If you want to sell DJ Moore and Devon Achane, and if you could pivot to Travis Etienne, then yes, let's do it. Let's do it. I just don't know if we can. Now, Banana Bros says PBR League 5-5. Andrews is my tight end. Do we go with Travis Etienne for Jonathan Taylor and George Kittle? We need to win these next few games. My only hesitation is that Travis Etienne's through his bye and Jonathan Taylor is not. It is definitely a fair price point, though. It is a fair price. Ian says, we had Burrow, full BBR. We have Jefferson, Lamb, Laporta, McBride, Flowers, Douglas. Should we sell Jefferson for Kyler and Pittman? Or Jefferson for Howell, Debo, Rachaad White, or any other moves you'd make? Nope. I think you're going to go ahead. You're going to hold still. We're going to see what news comes out about Joe Burrow. Obviously started him this week. And if we need to go through and make a trade next week, we will. But no, I think we honestly plan on going from the waiver wire if that's the cost of a quarterback. Nate says PBR start one flex. Warren, Ridley, Noah Brown. And Nico Collins playing, Noah Brown banged up. I'd probably go Jalen Warren, even if it's the grossest spot imaginable. Now, Dude Jazzy Jeff, always happy to see us, says 10-team at BBR. Hurt Stroud, Keenan Puka, Debo Addison. CMC, Jacobs, HN, Javonte, Kincaid, Goddard, McBride. Should we trade Stroud for Mixon in any other moves? Yes, trade Stroud for Mixon. I would say beforehand, though, I'd probably rather try to sell, say, Stroud and Jacobs to go pivot to a top 5 running back. We don't need an extra running back. We probably just need an upgrade. Another thing that we could look to do, especially if we make that Stroud for Mixon trade, is sell a running back and a tight end to go get an elite level tight end if we can. Dodgy says, Andrew's owner here, offers on the table. We give up Gibbs and Brandon Ayuk, and we get back Kelsey and Pacheco. Yes, give me Kelsey. We already own Brown, Lamb, JT, Kyron. Yes, go get me Travis Kelce right now, especially if we have that kind of depth there at the same time, my friend. Mason says, how do you feel about DJ Moore rest of season? I think DJ Moore will be better than he's been over the past month. I think DJ Moore is an intriguing buy low candidate. And keep in mind, we are going out there and calling him a sell-high guy after the Washington game. Colin says, needed to decide for an RB2 and a flex in a PPR league. Swift, Montgomery, Moore, and Kirk. I'm going to go with both running backs. Start both Swift and Montgomery. Killian says, 12-team PPR double flex, 5-5. We have Lamar, Mostert, Kamara, Pollard, Taysom, Puka, Evans, Dell, Thomas, Quentin, Spears. And then on the IR, Jefferson, Khalil, Joshua Palmer. What are your thoughts? I like the team in a double flex format. Obviously, we need Jefferson back in, but the wide receiver depth is getting us through here. I think it's going to be a much better team now that we get Jefferson back in. I think it's well balanced, and we're not going to be making a move. Ryan says we traded McBride for Thielen. Good move. Then did another, giving Debo for McLaurin and Laporta. Oh my gosh, great trades. Unbelievable. Love to see it. Like, I'd rather have Laporta over McBride. Thielen, Debo, kind of up to you. Great deal. Abel says, Walker for Dell. Give me Kenneth Walker. We have Mixon, Eckler, HN. Yeah, I mean, if you're selling Walker, I want a better receiver, especially as Collins comes back. Max says, lost Andrews tonight. Trade Tyreek and Warren for Eckler, Kincaid, Rice. Tyreek to Eckler, downgrade. Warren to Kincaid, upgrade. Rice, not really going to move the needle. Roster receivers would be Flowers, Lockett, DJ Pickens, Jason Rice. Yeah, we're not strong enough for receiver to be trading away Tyreek Hill here. Please keep Tyreek Hill. When in doubt, you keep Tyreek Hill, my friend. Do not overthink it. Now, Nick says, full BBR 5-5, 10-team league. We have Hurts, Chase, AJ Hill, Tank, Evans, Amari, Brees, Gibbs, JT, Kincaid. What else can a simple man do to make the playoffs? So we have three elite receivers. We have an elite quarterback. I would say if we have this kind of wide receiver room, I would love to take Tank and Brees or Amari and Gibbs and essentially take some of these wide receivers at the very bottom into this wide receiver room that we have no shot at starting if we have Chase, A.J. Brown, and Tyreek Hill, and sending Tank Dell and Jahmyr Gibbs to get the best running back we can. Sending Amari Cooper and Brees Hall to get the best running back we can. Now, Elliot says, what do you think about Kenneth Walker for Garrett Wilson straight up? We have Walker, also have Montgomery, Bijan, Spears, and Kyron. Which running backs do you want to keep? Any trade ideas we need one? I like the idea of selling Kenneth Walker if it's a full PPR format with him not getting involved at all as a receiver. I would preferably try to get someone a little bit better than Garrett Wilson. Like, if I'm going to be looking at the flogfantasy.com community rankings, currently Kenneth Walker is like ahead of Garrett Wilson, even if it's very close. I think I'd rather try to get to like Michael Pittman, Chris Olave, maybe Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle. If I could sell Kenneth Walker for Jalen Waddle, I think that would be significantly more appealing. And the running back I do want to keep there, just knowing that we're not going to get enough value for him, would be Bijan. Michael says, Happy BR, which is better, Henry or Barkley and Nico? Probably going to go Barkley and Nico. Michael says, we have Kincaid and Dak on the bench. Should we trade Kincaid for Pittman or Puka? Dak for Kyron or Devonta Smith, or any other ideas? Would these guys go into your starting lineup? You know, I mean, I would rather try to go through and sell Dak and someone in our starting lineup currently to get an elite level wide receiver, you know. I think this is a fair price point. If you wanted to go ahead and cash out Kincaid for Puka, you can. I would just typically look for a 2-for-1 deal where we can go through and we can get an upgrade in the starting lineup at the same time. Owen says, should we trade away CMC for Nick Chubb and Nico Collins? By the way, we should cuddle with our pee-pee touching. Hugga Morris from Austin's Hottest Kitty. My friend, you get the reward, okay? Number one, numero uno, weirdest message we've ever gotten on a live stream. Or at least this season. I can't remember anything that we got 2-3 years ago. Maybe we had something 2 or 3 years ago that was weirder than that, but probably be harder. But I think that should be it for this stream. I love to leave it off at a note like that, but thank you again, everybody. Really do appreciate you. Really hope that you did not have Mark Andrews on your fantasy team. I will keep you all updated tomorrow with more Joe Burrow news. So just make sure you're subscribed. Of course, I'll be live streaming every single day until 2024. So if you have not done so already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day, and really hope we get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow night.